I mentioned a little bit different of a show today because we're focusing, of course, on the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump. However, there is one thing happening starting tomorrow that we had an interview scheduled for today, and I really wanted to talk about it a little bit. So Dr. Raul Garcia, who is running for United States Senate in Washington State against Senator Maria Cantwell, he is going to be, man, he's getting his steps in the next few days. So from tomorrow, July 16th to Sunday, July 21st, he is going to be holding something called the Freedom From Fentanyl Walk, where he and supporters are going to be walking from central Washington to Seattle. I wonder if they know how hot out it's going to be this week. But the whole idea behind it is to raise awareness and bring people together, frankly, which couldn't we use that right now, to really bring awareness to the fentanyl crisis, to how deadly it is, and to try to come together with some meaningful solutions. And so Dr. Raul Garcia was nice enough to come on and talk about this event that they're holding starting tomorrow. Dr. Raul Garcia, welcome to Undivided.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, let me just, we have you on to talk about something that you've got going on starting tomorrow, but obviously, the big news about the attempted assassination on the former president. What were you thinking when you saw it?
Well, I think it's a pretty sad moment in our country that our division has gotten this far, right? And I think it's time to step back and say, this is enough. This is the limit. This has to be the outlier. We have to come back and remember that we're Americans. I mean, I came to this country from Cuba, and I never got here thinking, oh, we have to divide between Democrats and Republicans or our ideology or anything else, to the point that we hate each other so much that we actually try to assassinate one of the candidates, and in this case, President Trump. So our thoughts and prayers were immediately to him and his family, and of course the hero that died, that was just attending a political rally that should never happen in America, and protecting his family, as we all feel very viscerally that family first, and unfortunately lost his life. But we're very grateful that President Trump is well. We still, our thoughts and prayers are still with his family to get over this disgusting event, and for our country to take this event and say, you know what, we're going to make this the catalyst to unite again, to remember that we're Americans, to remember that we can talk about issues, that we could be worthy opponents in a political race, that we don't have to hate each other, that we could come to the table and find solutions with different ideologies. And I am going to push every day for that. I've been pushing up to now. Now I'm going to push even further for that.
Yeah, and on the show so far today, this is really a theme that we've been diving into. Sometimes there are these platitudes after an event like this where, oh, there's no place for political violence. And those platitudes come from people who, have been doing things and saying things that I think can encourage political violence. And so I do want to give you credit. I have never seen you, back when you're running for governor or now turn nasty. Unless I missed it, I've just never seen you behave that way. I've never seen you be the kind of political candidate who leads with vitriol and division. And so I think that you're a good example of what candidates can be. And so, certainly in today's climate, thank you for being like that and for setting that example. Let's talk about the event that speaking of, putting the hate aside and focusing on the issues. So you are going to be doing a walk. Can you call it a walk? Because it's quite the journey to raise awareness for fentanyl. So talk about the concept behind this.
Well, I wanted to come up with something powerful that united Eastern and Western Washington. And I have been saying all along in our campaign that we want a government of solutions. Let's talk about the issues. As we just talked about, let's end division. Let's talk about things that will make our lives better. And if you step out of our doorstep in this state, no matter where you are, you're going to find fentanyl in our streets. Here in the emergency department, I see 2 to 5 overdoses every shift. And it is something that I've been seeing throughout the years, getting worse and worse and worse. And we need to bring about a solution that has teeth. So what I have recommended is the Americans Against Fentanyl Act as your next United States Senator that I will push as my first bill. which will give manslaughter charges to fentanyl dealers and mandatory rehab to addicts. And this involuntary rehab will create a controversy, but as a physician, I could tell you that these individuals, their brain is telling them to lie, cheat, and steal to get that next fix, or they're going to die. So they will lie to their parents, to a judge, to the police officer, to whoever, to get that next fix. And everybody that has succeeded in rehab has always come back and said, thank you. Thank you for taking me out when I couldn't make that decision for myself. As a matter of fact, Jeannie Burton, who is very big in this arena, she is going to join us starting Wednesday and is going to walk with me all the way to Sunday into Seattle. So this walk is to raise awareness on an issue that is killing our children, our family members. You know, Jess and I almost lost our oldest to fentanyl, and our neighbors. And we want people along the way to join the walk, to tell us your stories, you just want to come and talk to me, that's fine. Fentanylwalk.com has our schedule from tomorrow all the way to Sunday, when we feel will be historical, to end the walk at 2 p.m., walking the I-90 bridge from Mercer Island into Seattle. We will want to have as many people there as possible to have our voice be heard about this horrible killer.
Well, you make especially today, I think the point is well taken that this should be a uniting issue. Whether it's people on the streets of downtown Seattle or over where you are in Eastern Washington or Central Washington, Republican, Democrat, it doesn't matter. It doesn't discriminate. And so, it's an issue tearing our communities apart, but dealing with it is certainly an opportunity to unite. Any Democrats planning in that regard to join you on the walk, you think?
Oh, I think so. I think plenty of Democrats are joining me on the walk. Laura Lynch being probably one of the most significant. She lost her daughter to fentanyl. She will probably speak in Seattle with me. She's been a big proponent of our campaign and has been a lifelong Democrat, but lost her daughter. She went upstairs to her room and her daughter was dead.
Wow.
Right before that, the daughter had come into an ER, and the ER let her go home. I mean, these are things that we need to change. We need to give the power of healthcare back to patients and physicians instead of insurance companies. But that's another topic. We're excited about this walk. We of course did a pre-walk last week from Toppenish to the starting gate tomorrow. Those first 20 miles, Brandi, I can tell you, weren't that easy under 109-degree weather last week. But we did it. And to highlight how big of a problem we have here in Yakima County. And another thing that I say and I mean, let every step of this walk honor every senseless death that we've had in this state from fentanyl. People that will never be 24, that will never be 35, that will never be any age, that and will never be who they wanted to be because they died, be it one pill that they took by accident and they died, or they were addicted to this horrible killer. We have to change that, and we have to bring about better solutions than we have had up to now, spending $430 billion on things that have just enabled this problem to get bigger.
Yeah, and you fix this, you solve this, you solve for a lot of the crime issues, you solve for the homeless crisis that we have. I talked to, I can't remember which one it was, one of our local sheriffs, and I asked, how much of the crime you're dealing with is directly associated to the drug crisis? He's like, 98%. I mean, so if you can deal with it, think of how much money we can save, and heartache and crime and all of that stuff. I will say, you had mentioned you did your pre-walk and it was really hot out. I saw videos that I think your wife took, and you looked like you were like having a good time. So you were suffering through it, but you were having a good time. And so I know you're a doctor and you know this, but sunscreen, okay. Keep the hat on. You guys be safe out there. Lots of water and things. I don't want anyone passing out on the fentanyl walk. One more time with the website, Dr. Garcia, for folks who want to join in.
Fentanylwalk.com. We're going to have a gathering every evening in the towns that we get to. So if you want to gather there, if you don't want to walk, if you would just want to gather for our dinner, you could do that. But definitely Sunday the 21st, please be a part of our historical walk across the Mercer Island I-90 bridge. into Seattle at 2 p.m. So we're going to meet at 12:45 at the Lid in Mercer Island on Sunday the 21st. And we want a big crowd to make our voices heard.
Great. Dr. Raul Garcia, candidate for United States Senate. We appreciate you joining us, and we'll be following your walk along the way.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Brandi. Have a great day.
Yeah, and I think that's a good way to get people talking about the issue. And as long as we're on the subject of bringing people together, there are so many issues that we're facing in our state that should be bipartisan, everyone, hands on deck. Let's get to the bottom of it. Fentanyl and the drug crisis absolutely should be one of them. Yet here we've got, politicians saying, oh, the homeless crisis isn't a drug crisis. It's a lack of affordable housing. I mean, come on. We should be able to get reasonable people from both sides to come together and say this drug crisis has gone too far. We all agree on, the core, the basics of what need to be done. Get people help, force them into help if you need it. So we'll be paying attention to that fentanyl walk as it proceeds.